All right. Good morning. Clear my throat a little bit here. Good morning. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is Coach Smith, and I am live, your host, Love the Game 24/7 podcast. There's some things you need to know, right? All right. All right.
Are you ready?
Are you ready to be live with Coach Smith and Love the Game 24/7 podcast? And yes, I am your host and appreciate you guys being with me. It's been a little minute. Um, Been a lot of exciting things going on. I was out of town last week visiting with my youngest son out in the Minneapolis area, Minneapolis St. Paul area. So really enjoyed spending some time with him uh, last week. Got to go out there with the wife and spend time since he just moved out there about 6 months ago from Seattle. So we were excited to spend a little bit of time with him. I'm glad to be back doing some podcasting, talking about how to help these young athletes with their recruiting process. I hope that your summer is all the way live right now, kicking for a lot of you young athletes out there. Get into some summer camps in your sport, in your respective sport. So that's good to know that the summer is alive and well, and you young athletes out there learning to market yourself and get some exposure to help you in your recruiting. And I hope a lot of you young middle school athletes, you young boys and young girls that are out there getting your experience and exposure with summer camps in your sport and start your recruiting process off early. I know we've had a lot of orientations and things going on at the college, at the university where I work. Um, a lot of that for the new students that are going to be coming in next year. So we're busy and excited with all that great stuff going on with the new college students preparing to leave home. So that's always good. And I know we had a lot of the OTAs ending, and so like my son is home with his family for about a month or just a little shy over a month before he has to head back to training camp with Arizona Cardinals. So we're hoping to get out there for my oldest grandson, my only grandson. So we got a grandson and grandbaby girl. So I'm a girl dad, granddad, a girl pop. So yeah, we're excited to hopefully get out there and sometime in July before my son has to hit the training camp, so we can spend time with the family. So we're hoping to do that. And so we have football season, man. College and pro is just around the corner. It'll be here before you know it. Be sure though you just take and enjoy each and every day with your family, friends, and loved ones, and enjoy summer vacations, summer whatever you got going on, summer trips. Like I said, summer camps. You know, enjoy. You athletes enjoy getting better and developing yourself because you got to handle your business. Because it's about you right now growing and developing, not just your talent but also your character. Um, to help you maneuver in that recruiting space and to get yourself some notoriety or some acknowledgement to help you boost your recruiting. So I'm excited today. We're going to be talking about some truth and facts um, for today's young athletes, and so we won't be too long, in that 45 minute to an hour range. Feel free chat to put any questions out there, and I'll try to answer some. as I said, I'm still working on solidifying some interviews that I'll be getting prepared to do to change up some things here with the podcast and give you some real conversation with some folks who have been there and done that, um, in the athletic world. So so I'll be reaching out to some more folks that I'm planning on trying to get on here on the podcast as well. So I've been making contact and getting some things lined up. So I'm excited about that today, guys. um, but like I said, this is Love the Game 24/7 with Coach Smith, your host. And be sure to subscribe in that link on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. I appreciate it very much, guys. Help build up my viewership and follow and all those good things and subscriptions and likes, all that great stuff. I appreciate it very much, as I want to be sure to help get information out there to you young athletes and parents on this recruiting. I'm live on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Love the Game 24_7. It's the same on Instagram, Love the Game 24_7. You can also follow me at Coach Smith 27 on IG as well. But I'm also on Facebook Live. So if you guys have any questions while we're going through the podcast, feel free, um, to jump in and put a question in, and I'll do my best to try to answer it as we go through the discussion, the podcast this morning. But once again, I appreciate you guys, man, and helping uh, grow this platform with Coach Smith and Love the Game 24/7, because it's all about helping you young athletes and parents getting through and navigating through the recruiting environment. Right? Got my smoothie, my healthy drink. But yeah, so let's let's get going on some truth and facts for today's athlete. And it's just very important that you guys, just understand um, as much as you can and as much as possible to help you through the recruiting process, man. It's just, it's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of things going on. I was on my another uh, podcaster and Coach Derek Tatum with the Elite Talent Football Academy out of Georgia area. I like following and listening to other people as well. We you know, tap off each other, pick, get some good information from each other. So he's a great person to follow as well with his platform and his program. You know, I don't have any problem, pumping up other people as well. I'm not the only one out here that's doing this. Um, so um, so definitely don't have any issue with sharing what, about somebody else is doing some of the same things that I'm doing. We're trying to help, coaches, trying to help athletes, trying to help parents, trying to help recruiters, you name it. That's what this platform is all about, man. Informing, right? All about informing, and you got to do everything you can to um, get the most talents, out of your talents and your abilities. And so um, that's a good segue into you know starting out starting out in this conversation. That hope a lot of you athletes, I hope you realize that you have more than one gift or talent that God has blessed you with, right? And it's not just in sports. Okay. Um, so we have multiple gifts and talents that we need to be doing our best to hone, you know, those skills, right? To get those skills and talents better, right? Improving those gifts and talents, right? So it's important that you guys know that. And if you don't, now you do. But once you have come to the realization of the many gifts and talents you have, you must dedicate yourself, right, in strengthening these abilities. Okay, young person, young athlete. You may have a gift and talent in music, like my boys did music. They did, they were in the arts. They did dance, um, but they played instruments. They played sports. They were in a school of the arts in elementary and middle school. So we wanted to be sure they were well rounded and hone in on what are the skills that they had. My oldest son enjoyed writing, journaling, so he would write like stories about sports, but he enjoyed writing. So just realize that you have multiple gifts and talents, people. Okay, and you got to do your best to try to, as your parents, try to help you recognize that, because as parents we have to recognize that early, right? That's part of our job, helping our young people recognize, helping our children, helping our grandkids, or the kids in the community that you're coaching and you're working with. It's your job, parent or adult coaches, to help young people recognize what their talents and gifts are and help them use their gifts and talents, right? So, and as I said, it's not just in sports, um, but you know, you may have to invest your time and money to better yourself in your abilities to bring out the best you in those gifts and talents, right? Just like we talk about doing summer camps and all that, those types of things for your sport. You should be doing some other things as well. If you like reading, you like science, you like engineering, find some other things to help keep that brain working and functioning, right? That's what it's all about, you know. So hone all your gifts and talents, okay? So you have them. And yes, I spent money for my younger son, was very talented. He taught himself how to play the drums, even though, like I said, he was very good in baseball and football as well. But he was into music, taught himself how to play the drums. At a certain point, we invested in paying for him to have drumming lessons, right? To hone his skills, to make him get his skills even better. And he still plays the drums and involved in a couple of bands that he plays in since he was in college and since he's left college and graduated. And even since he's been out in Seattle and Minneapolis now, he plays in a plays the drums and plays in a band. So, you know, that tells me that was a good investment, not just sports, but in music for my youngest son. So that was a very good investment for him because he's still using it, right? And I'll get more into that because we have some dominant talents that we need to use right now, because there's some talents that may dwindle away as we get older, and there's some that don't. There's some that become dominant later, and I'll talk more about that. Um, but you have to invest your time and money to better yourself and your abilities and your talents and your gifts to bring out the best you. To be sure that you use your gifts and talents to take you places, right? You know, I, my father got us trumpet lessons. Both my brother and I played the trumpet. I let him talk me into playing the trumpet instead of the saxophone because when he was ready to put up playing in the bands and got into high school sports and all that, he didn't want to play the trumpet, and I let him convince me to do that. I wish I wouldn't have, but he got me. You know, listening to one of my older big brothers. So I took on the task of playing the trumpet, like he did when I was in middle school, and did middle school band and all those different things. So my father paid for us to have lessons. When football season was over, the lessons weren't over. Practicing and doing different things weren't over, right? And sometimes I was glad to do band practice to get out of doing yard work and leave my older brother, who taught me into playing the trumpet, to do the yard work by himself while I had to go to trumpet lessons. And so I wasn't so mad about taking trumpet lessons then sometimes when he was left to do the yard by himself. I'm like, yeah, that's what you get for talking me into doing it. So, but yeah, you know, you got to invest. My father did that. He always told us it wasn't just about investing money into our sports, but it was our academics and the music and other things like that to help us to be well rounded, right? So we can use our gifts and talents to take us places. I was blessed when I started playing pro football with the Houston Oilers as an undrafted free agent. We uh, we went to Japan. That's the only way I got a passport. My mind was never ever thinking about getting a passport, and I don't think I might not ever would have gotten a passport. Maybe until much later in life. But the team, because you're in the NFL, they take care of a lot of things. And for some of us who didn't have passports, of course, the team paid for all of us to travel for the preseason game against the Cowboys that I got to play in when we were in Japan. We also practiced scrimmage against each other while we were in Japan as well, preparing for that preseason game back in back in '92 when I was with the Oilers. Um, and so that's what I mean. Your gifts and talents can take you places, whether it be in sports, music, or technology, or whatever the skill and talent that you have. Your gifts and talents will take you places. Okay, and so um, and because of my gift and talent playing football, coming from a Division II school and being able to sign as an undrafted free agent because I was always prepared. When I had my tryout with them and was able to get signed with the Oilers, and here I am in training camp, and we're getting ready to go to Japan. And it was my first time ever going overseas. Man, it was crazy. So, like, oh wow, man, this is a great opportunity that I don't think I ever would have had the blessing of doing, or even realizing that things like this were possible, without my gift of talent taking me to the NFL and seeing that, man, even like getting a scholarship and going from Florida to Iowa, seeing how other people live, how important having those opportunities in allowing your gifts and talents, when you make sure that you're um, doing your best, and getting better in your development in your gift and talent, it can take you places. So I got to go to Japan to play in a preseason football game, right? And my family and friends, got to see me out there on the field. So it was a great opportunity, right? And then in learning the truths and facts about your talent, um, about your talent being able to take you so far, right? Because your talent can only take you so far, right? And then you need to make sure you learn to have the right character that go along with that. Because your talent can take you places, but your character has to be able to keep you and launch you, right, in high places, right? Um, and so, that's very important to know. As your talent can take you places, it's important that you learn the truth and facts about your talent only being able to take you so far. You can't always just rely on your talent. I don't care if it's what it is that you're doing. I don't care what you're doing in life. I don't care if you're an attorney, and you're talented in specific law, corporate law, business law, or criminal law, or um, international law. It doesn't matter. Your talent can only take you so far, but you better have some character to keep you. You need to learn that, right? Because your character can launch you and keep you in some high places that you otherwise may not have had the opportunity, you know, to do, right? But because you had a talent and your talent was recognized, or you did some things to help you gain some exposure to get recognized, to help your talent be recognized, which is you definitely need to do that. It's definitely important. Okay. Um, and your talent, like I said, can keep you, young athlete, young boy, young girl. You need to be also be working on your character, and that comes from having good coaches, of course, your parents, right? And those same things need to be exemplified by your parent and your coaches that you have in your life at every level, right? So it's important for parents to be sure you put your kids in a good youth league and whatever sport they're playing with some good coaches, a good program, a good atmosphere. I know every things can't be perfect because they're not. You know, it's good to see some of that stuff sometimes, so you'll see how you shouldn't be, right? But it needs to be good leadership, so they keep some of that stuff, foolishness, out and under control, and put a stop to some things. And people know that, hey, we have leadership in this youth program or in this high school or this AAU or this academy. There's some things in here was not tolerated, and those people exemplify exactly what they are looking for, what they need in their young athletes in whatever sport you're playing. Okay, so, and because talent at some point, everyone's talent at some point will meet up or match up. And what I mean by that is going to equal out, right? You see at a young age, some kids are so dominant and some kids are kind of left behind. But as though some of those same kids that you grew up playing with, as you go from youth league to high school, it's still a gap in some instances, but some kids start catching up, right? My younger son went through a growth spurt where I mean, he missed a year playing baseball, but when he came back after that growth spurt the next year, I mean, he just took off, you know. Um, and so, things are equal out. And, as you get to college, that gap of talent becomes closer as well. There's some things you can get away with just talent. I'm not gonna sit here and say you can't. There's some things you can get away with just talent, at the college and pro level, but it really shrinks down. It becomes very, very small, especially at the pro level, at the highest level, right? And you're gonna need some character, right? Some work ethic to keep you and to launch you into new opportunities. Okay. So just be aware of that, young person. So in your sport, young girl, young boy, you young athletes, and you high school, you young ladies, young men out there in high school and college, that gap because starts to get very, very small in you being dominant because it equals out. And so you got to have more than just talent. You got to have a work ethic. You got to have some character, right? You got to be somebody that's on time to meetings, right? Because that other DB over there, whether he's drafted or undrafted, right? Or that other young lady on the roster on the basketball team, on the volleyball team, the pro volleyball team or the national women's soccer team, that talent, man, that window gets real small. And so if you're not a person of character, you know, along with the talent that you have, man, you're gonna miss out. You might miss out, right? And you want to be able to have, that keep that work ethic that's going to help you be able to be consistent and perform at a high level, right? Because you got to be able to perform at a high level consistent, right? And you got to have that character to know that, hey, sometimes when I don't feel like getting up to go train, I'm going to go do that because I have the type of character. And I understand that, hey, look, man, there's some other young ladies around here that can ball. I know Caitlin Clark is a baller, but she's finding out real quick, right? Now, eventually you'll make that adjustment. Caitlin Clark's gonna make that adjustment. Angel Reese and a lot of these other rookies, they're gonna make an adjustment, right? But it's a culture shock, right? Things change, right? Things can change up, and you have to be willing to put that work in, right? You have to be willing to put that work in keeping your talent to be able to perform at a high level, on the field and off the field, right? On the court and off the court, right? On the pitch and off the pitch. You got to be able to, you know, handle your business. Okay. And so, for you young athletes out there, if you don't know the truth and facts about having multiple gifts and talents, you know, like I said, you could potentially miss out on opportunities that could change your life. Okay. There are seasons. Okay. There are seasons or certain and specific times when your other talents will be more dominant, right, than another. Right. So when it comes to sports, right, we know in some sports you can play for a long time, like golf, you can potentially play for a long time. And some people don't become dominant in that sport until later, right? Because if they stuck with it, right, they may not have been as dominant as they, wanted to be, when they were younger. But because they stuck with it and had a work ethic and had some character, they kept at it because they knew, hey, I love this game. I know I can be better at it. And I just need to put some more time in. And then, some people start figuring things out when they get older. There's some young golfers that figure it out early, right? Track and field. There's some young talent out here that's, killing it, right? But because they need their body to mature more, they may have a great work ethic. And there are some that have just become phenoms with it and they just get it. They just get it right away. Um, and things, like Arian, the 200-meter guy from my area, in the Bay Area, Tampa Bay area, the 200-meter guy. I'm looking forward to seeing him perform, um, in the Olympic trials. So, there's sometimes, like I said, there's sometimes where there's some, gifts and talents that aren't as dominant, right? And there's seasons, right? There's periods where, you got to go through it, right? But you got to stick with it. You got to have that work ethic, right? Because eventually it's going to come, something's going to click. Something's going to click for you, young lady. young man, young athlete, something's gonna click for you, right? And it's just gonna just like work out because you've stuck with it. You've um, and it's important that you have a good um, camp of people around you. You know, that's where the parents you come in at. You got to put good, healthy people around them. Find a good program, good coaches, right? But like I said, there are seasons or certain and specific times when your other talents will be more dominant than another, right? You can't play football or basketball but so long. There are few people that have had the blessing like LeBron has, Tom Brady, playing 20 plus years, Warren Moon back in the day. Um, there's, a few guys might play more than 10 years and be very successful and perform at a high level, right? But that's not many. The average the average number of years to play pro football is like less than 4 years. Excuse me, like 3.6 years or something like that. On average for most football players, right? Can't just go by the one big name people you hear that make a lot of money. That they're few and far between, right? When you look at the number of 53 guys on a roster times 31, you're talking almost 2,000 football players, and that's just and rosters move and up and down. People get hurt or whatever the case may be. Some people get released and cut or traded or sent to other teams. So it's a lot of moving parts, right? With that, same thing with basketball. But they don't have as many spots. I think it's only maybe about 600 or 700 because they only like 15 or 20-man rosters. I don't even know if it's 20, but could be 12 or 15 on the roster. But they have moving parts with that as well. So, but you can only play some sports but so long. And so right now you want to get the best or the most out of your talent if you're a football or basketball player or a soccer player, whatever baseball player, sometimes guys, I know there was a pitcher that spent, or I think a pitcher that I saw for the Twins playing against my Tampa Bay Rays last week, spent 10 years in the minor leagues, right? So I don't know if he came right out of high school or early, left college early, but sometimes you can spend, years in the minor leagues before you make the major leagues, right? So, um, and then, it was exciting to see that young man's dream finally came to fruition. He stuck with it. Had some teams, kept him around that long, and he did a great job when he played against my Tampa Bay Rays last week. So, like I said, there are some talents and skills and gifts that you have that you need to get the most out of them right now because they're going to diminish, right? They're going to fall off after a while, after their season or certain or specific time is up, right? In your sport and that dominant talent in that sport, you can play an instrument forever. You can sing, for years. If you don't lose your voice, if you take care of yourself, you can play instrument, man, until the day you die, right? Or sing. Those are some gifts and talents, man, that you never lose out. But when it comes to something as physical as playing a sport, you don't have that long. So you got to be sure you do whatever it is that you need to do to get the most out of it, right? And like I said, or a talent that is dominant now will open opportunities for another gift or talent that you've been developing in the background, right? While using your dominant talent at the moment or using your dominant talent now, right? So, some examples for that is, we know Shannon Sharp has his show, you know, um, his podcast, and he's on First Take. He was a top football player, but while he was playing football, he learned the skill because he wanted to be a commentator. And I know he had a speech issue, but he got through that, and now he's one of the biggest podcasts, in the world. Same thing with Deion Sanders. He's coaching football. Um, he's at a Power Five in Colorado. Um, Same with Ryan Clark. Him and Channing Crowder and Fred Taylor. With the pivot. Tom Brady is going into the booth, right? Ryan Clark is on ESPN sometimes as well in First Take. Pat McAfee, was a punter in the league. So there are opportunities, and when you're playing a sport, just like A-Rod and Derek Jeter and those guys, watching them doing the Negro League um, acknowledgement and Willie Mays passing, prayers for the Willie Mays family. Um, So, those guys use their opportunity and their talent in sport, football and baseball and basketball, whatever it may be, right, to open up doors for them, right? They had another talent, right? So you're seeing more former players on the screen now reporting and becoming analysts. So there's opportunities there, and you may or may not make, pro in your sport, but you still might be able to go pro and be on TV, right? There's still opportunities to be a pro analyst, right? To be a top analyst and do something like that if you have a desire, and because you're in that sport and because you played it and you know it, right? And you hone your skills, maybe while you were in college, you picked up, hey, I was a communications major, or I love editing. I love being behind the camera. I love being in the booth, right? I got my own podcast going, right? And so, like I said, you know, your dominant talent that you have now can open up doors, for you, as long as you have that character to go along with it, right? It's going to, and you're developing. So while you're playing in that sport, if you are blessed to play your sport while you're in college, find out some of those other gifts and talents you have and start making sure you develop those as well and take advantage of using your opportunity that your sport is giving you to help you develop and better some other skills and talents that you have, right? So all the while, making sure you are always being a person of great character, a reliable person, right? And so, and as parents, you got to make sure we stay on our young people about that, right? Um, my son, my oldest son, playing pro football, he's gotten more and more comfortable with doing some of his um, uh, things that he does on social media, on his IG, some of the postings. He kind of models and does different things like that. He has some deals going where he's modeling clothes, or he's done some things with Dove you know, um, men's health, body health with Dove. So, he's opened up some doors for himself in that. He's a communications major degree from Boston College. There's a lot of connections. That's why it's important that you pick a school. I don't care whether it's Division 2 or not. We had a lot of well-known people from my college. The founder of Jiffy Lube is an alum of my college, Morningside College. The founder of Jiffy Lube that I know personally, right? The founder of Gateway Computers back in the day, I got to meet, was an alum of my college at Morningside College. Some of you guys might remember Gateway Computers. Help build your computer and they'll online and they'll ship it to you, right? Another, you know, made some great relationships. The founder, one of the 7 founders of the Hooters franchise, was an alum of Morningside College. He had 6 of his Iowa buddies that they were all doing different things, different talents and gifts, and came together to start this Hooters franchise. And I happened to play arena football for the Miami Hooters when the team moved from California to Miami. And I happened to get a chance to play for the Miami Hooters arena team back when the arena football was big and huge, and got to meet him. And he recognized that, oh, there's somebody from my college that's on this football team. And I had a chance to meet him and build a relationship with Mr. Lags, the late Mr. Lags. May he rest in peace, Mr. Lags. It was a great gentleman opportunity. So that's what I mean. When you go to certain schools and you experience certain opportunities, man, you're gonna open up some doors, and you want to be sure you have a you know great character, that you're reliable, right? You know, and I've had jobs opportunities because of that, because of um, meeting some of these alumni from my school. So, and that's just a few that I just named. So, but just trying to give you an idea and understanding that you have more than one gift or talent, letting you know the truth and facts, right? For today's athlete, you need to be aware it's not just about your sport talent, right? You want to be sure that but while you're using the sport and you have your sport opening up doors for you, you want to be sure you take advantage of every opportunity. But just be sure that you are always developing yourself and your character, right? And you may ask yourself, where do I start? Or who can I get to help me learn what I need to do? Right? Ask yourself that question. You may be asking yourself that question, but ask yourself that. Where do I start? Or who can I get to help me learn what I need to do? Right? That's a that's a very good, very important question. Right? Who is out there to help me get better and to improve my skills and abilities to get the desired and right results to fully benefit me? Right? That's another part of that question, right? Who else? Who is out there to help me get better and to improve my skills and abilities to get the desired and right results to fully benefit me? Those are two very important questions that you should be asking yourself. Mom and dad need to be asking those same questions and sitting down with you and talking to you, young lady, young man, right? Especially when you get into high school, right? And then you're getting close to like some kids. We're having orientation, getting ready to leave home. Two very important questions. And to answer that question, you have coaches like myself who would love the game 24_7, helping to assist and mentor parents and their young athletes. I mentioned Coach Derek Tatum of Elite Talent Football Academy, or Coach Terrence Wood, another good buddy of mine of Before You Go Pro. And that's just to name a few. There are a lot of people out there that are helping and um, have great information. Definitely there are quite a few people I do follow, but these are two people that I just named. You know, and I'm not afraid to share with you about anybody else because I know I'm not the only one. I'm not the only good one out there, but I know I'm one of the top ones. I definitely know that. But those two gentlemen I just mentioned are good as well, right? But you must do your vetting, right? You got to do your vetting and find the program that fits you, and that will bring out the best you, right? So do your research. You guys Google and find everything else, your YouTube and all those things. Pretty much everybody's out there on TikTok, just like I'm on TikTok with Love the Game 24_7. You can go out there and see the shorts that I put out there from podcasts I've done in the past. Great information. Appreciate you guys following me out there too on TikTok, right? But you gotta do your vetting, right? Do your research. See what that person has been through or gone through, right? So, get on your computer, look up Coach Derek Tatum, look up, you know, Coach Terrence Wood, right? So there's no issue with me, you know, giving you some other people out there to do the same thing, but I know I'm one of the best as well, right? And and so, but do something, find somebody, right? And get the best out of your dominant talent in sports that you have right now, right? To get your education paid for. Get that scholarship to get your education paid for. That's what it's all about. Get that scholarship to get your education paid for. Get that scholarship to give you the experience that you want to have at the next level from high school to college in your sport. That's what it's all about. And that's what Love the Game 24/7 with Coach Smith is all about. Trying to help you learn how to choose what's the best place as much as possible. No place is perfect. Get that out of your head right now. There's no place that's perfect, right? So I'm just letting you know now. There's no place that's perfect. Everybody's going to have their issues, right? We've all been through some sort of trauma in our lives, from coaches to people who run programs. Doesn't matter, white, black, yellow, brown. It don't matter. We all have been through some trauma. So no place is going to be perfect, right? But you can come through and become, you know, and be perfected in knowing how to deal and handle things, right? So don't you know look down on that because you need somebody to help, mentor you, coach you, whatever you want to call it. Same thing, mentoring, coach you on how to make these decisions on how to be the best you, how to hone your skills and your talent. I don't care if you're male or female. I don't care what sport it is. Recruiting is recruiting. I've always said that. I don't care. And I don't care because there's some things that have changed with name, image, and likeness out there and NIL stuff, right? I shared a video today with quarterback from Ohio State that plays with the Texans. Go check out my story on my IG on Coach Smith 27 and Love the Game 24_7 and see what he talked about the importance of understanding name, image, and likeness when you're making this money. Because there are a lot of guys who are and young ladies who are not going to go pro, but they made some decent money while they were in college through name, image, and likeness, or are going to have an opportunity to make some good money, or some decent money. But you got taxes you have to pay, right? And some of us, or a lot of us, don't come from money background and knowing how we should have invested some of that money, not just spending it and getting. And you'll do more. You'll help your family more by holding on to some of that, a lot of that, most of that money, and investing it in some things and holding on to it. I'm not saying you can't spend and enjoy some of it, but you got to remember, taking some of that money. Uncle Sam's gonna get theirs, and you need to go set up an LLC in whatever name you want to name your LLC. Okay, for your name, image, and likeness opportunities. Okay, because there's some tax benefits when you have an LLC and not just getting that money to you, for yourself in your own name. Get your LLC, folks. I say I ain't gonna be giving away all of them, all these tips, but we'll get more into that later. Um, so like I said, you need to do your vetting, find the program, whether it be with Coach Smith, Derek Tatum, Terrence Wood, whoever else is out there, right? Do your get educated, right? Parents, get educated, all right. And then you may ask yourself, why should I invest time and money in your program, Coach Smith, and Love the Game 24/7? That's a very great question for all you parents and young athletes out there. Very good question. And to answer your very good question that you asked, it's vital that you learn the importance of investing in yourself, right? I did it. So there's one part answer to the question because I did it for myself when I was growing up and for my kids. So investing your time and money means that you are serious about getting better, that you're for real about getting better. That's why, right? And when you invest time and money, you're more than likely to follow through and not cut corners. And your parents, who are probably doing this for you and paying for you on your behalf in some instances, and you might be paying some yourself because a lot of you kids work today. I know that. Uh, but your parents are there as well. You ain't doing everything on your own financially. They're paying for your food and some clothes for the most part and that roof over your head, and they're paying for the water bill, they're paying for the light bill. So there's a lot of things they're taking care of that you don't even have to think about, right? But when you invest in yourself financially, it also shows that you are committed. Because, when we put something down financially, we're not just letting that go easy, right? And you shouldn't, but you got to be committed. And in most cases, when we put money down on something, we're gonna be pretty doggone committed. I don't know too many people that are lazy that don't give up some money and they're not gonna be committed to something, you know. So just know that's to answer your question about why you should invest, right? And I have given quite I would say I've given quite a bit of free advice to parents and athletes, young athletes over the years. Quite a bit of free advice, right? And I have given up a lot of my personal and family time, and still do at times today. I still do, not as often as I used to. But I still will give time. But I've given up a lot of time, family and personal, right? And I also know that people do not always take you as serious about your knowledge when it's free. That's just how it is. And you shouldn't. If something's free, I'm kind of skeptical, right? That's human nature. You know, oh, why they're doing this free, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna help them get rid of some of that skepticism. So there's a fee that I'm gonna charge. Because when I give my time and energy towards something like this, especially something I love doing and love being involved with, you're gonna get all of me. You're gonna get all of my focus and attention on helping you be successful, right? And I tell people, you got to help me help you. And as I'm doing that, it's helping me. We're helping each other. And down the road, it's gonna help you a whole lot more financially than you think it is. That few $100s here and there, or I'm not looking to charge people a boatload of money to get my services. No, that's not how I operate. But that few dollars that you invest with my program, and you get that scholarship, and you add up what that scholarship is paying out on a yearly basis, you'll realize that it was worth your investment, right? And there's some of you young people out there in your sport, you may have some scholarship opportunities. There's some of you guys that don't. You young ladies and young boys don't have, or maybe you don't have the offers that you feel you should have right now because you may be missing something that you don't realize that you're missing, some knowledge, something that you're not doing, right? Because it's all about how do you pass that eye test? It's all about your video, right? What you're looking like on video, what you look like when you come to a camp, right? Um, Appreciate it, Jesse. Appreciate you joining me, brother. And I will be calling you this week to schedule a time for you and I to get together so I can get you on my podcast to talk about your experience with recruiting. So just know you're gonna be hearing from me this week. Um, but yeah, so just know that, young people, you know, um, I dedicate myself and put myself into it because I know what my experience was like, and I don't want anybody to experience what we've had to deal with. Jesse went to that same high school that's on my podcast right now on Facebook, and and um and so that's why I've taken time. I've taken some years, right, to put this together. Like I said, with that being said, I've taken some years putting this Love the Game 24/7 program and platform together, guys. From my own personal experience as an athlete who's been through, right, and I've shared it on several times, on many times, who've been through the process. You know, as a coach who has coached many young athletes in and through their own process. And having my own kids in sports and helping my oldest son through his recruiting process and in his current professional football career right now, right, in the NFL. And that is why I have a fee with my program, because you're getting truth and facts. Ain't cutting no corners. We don't have time for that. People's lives are at stake. I don't play. I don't play that. People's lives are at stake. People's dreams, you know, are at stake. I've shared with you I have 25 years of financial aid experience. Currently, as a assistant director in financial aid, I've worked at the state university level, community college, the Florida Department of Education. I work for several private student lending companies. Um, so, you know, in my field that I've been in the last 25 years, along with sports and in financial aid, I'm all about helping making people dreams come true. That's what I've been involved in, helping people find ways to get this education paid for. And one method and one way for sure is if you have some talent in a sport as a young lady and as a um, young man, you need to get everything you can from that sport, from that gift and talent that you have to pay you some dividends, right? You deserve that opportunity, right? Just like anybody else deserves that opportunity. But you got to do your part. Nothing's magical. Nothing's magical. I don't offer magic. I offer hard work, integrity, dedication. I don't offer magic. There's nothing magical. And if you get some magic just as quick as it appeared, it can disappear. So I don't want magic. You know, I want something that I got to grind and work towards because I know it's going to last, right? Because I'm lasting through the grind and through the hard work. And so when I grind and put in the hard work and I put my time and money and you know, investing in it that way, I know it's going to last. I know it's going to be worth every penny, time and energy. We don't have time to be wasting, right? And so that's why I have a fee on doing what I do. Um, but I put a lot of time, energy, you know, into this, right? And I know what works and doesn't work because I've been through it, right? So I've been through it personally, myself. I've been through it with helping other athletes. I've been through it with my own kids, um, and had the blessing of because of what I know and learned and listening to people before me and older me and talking to us when I was younger, saying, make sure you do this and do that. And remembering and holding on to those things and going through my experiences, personal experiences, like, man, I missed it when what I mean, this could have turned out a little bit better if I would have did this, blah, blah, blah. So next time I get the opportunity, okay, yeah, this is how I need to do this, right? I got all that stuff, right? And along with my son, I got another spiritual son of mine, Lucas Dennis, who's with the Atlanta Falcons under my partner, GMB Management Group, Garrett Blair, GMB Management Group, partner with Love the Game 24_7. You know, here we got my son and my spiritual son, both in the league, because I know what works and doesn't work, and I put it to work, right? Coaching 12+ years, right? Football, and some of those years I also had some track coaching in there as well, right? So I put in hours into creating the system, and it will help any young athlete, boy or girl, right, learn how to market, promote, and gain exposure in their recruiting process. Been there, done that, right? Um, and you don't know what you don't know, mom and dad, or young athlete. You don't know what you don't know, right? Until you meet up with somebody like Coach Smith with Love the Game 24/7 and others that are out there who know and have been through it, right? Um, I just say be careful about. I don't think you should spend a ton of money on it. I do think you should invest in it. It shouldn't be free because not just me, but a lot of the people have put some time and dedicated themselves and helping a lot of people for free, right? Um, so use some common sense there. Um, but and some recruiting will come easy for some people, or I should say some exposure may come easy for some people because there may be a man child or a woman child. They're just big, so they're going to get some attention right off the bat. But there's still some things you need to learn and know how to navigate through. Just cause your attention and exposure got was easy don't mean you know everything. Don't mean things not going to be tough. Don't mean you don't need to learn some things about the recruiting process just because it was easy for you that way. See, that's what happens sometimes. That's why I shared with the quarterback from Ohio State that plays with the Texans. I just keep thinking of his name right now, but it'll come to me. Um, like he shared about the name, image, and likeness opportunity, and how a lot of players got themselves in some tough situations because you don't know what you don't know. And just because you're getting paid and making money doesn't mean you know what you're doing. You just been blessed and landed in a great spot in being an Ohio State Buckeye or Tennessee Volunteer or Florida Gator or Miami Hurricane, um, a Notre Dame, you know, uh, Fighting Irish or a BC Eagle. Um, I know my son said it. Things are a little different at BC sometimes. So BC, y'all better get on get on top of things, and I think they have been. So they're doing great with the recruiting because I still watch them, and I still have a young man that I help groom, Tim Jackson, who's on that with the BC Eagles staff. football staff. So proud of Timmy. Um, and so for those of you who, Timmy, if you're listening to this later, and some of those of you who may not be watching this live, but you may be, listen to the recording later, be sure to share, this with other folks and have them subscribe and join and be a part of Coach Smith Love the Game 24/7 podcast, right? But like I said, the young man shared, and you can see I shared it on my story this morning. I thought it was awesome point that he made. And so that's what I'm saying. Even though your recruiting may go, or you think it's going smooth, or you're getting all these offers and this and that, compared to some other, because hey, you look the part, and hopefully your film show you the part, and hopefully when you get on that field and have to show up, you show up. And you think just cause it's easy with your recruiting that you just gonna slide on in and you just gonna play like that. No. It don't work like that. You're dominating because, like I said, the talent level at the high school level is wide. And but when you get to college, you're gonna see that gap shrink. And you can't get by cheating on your development and your training in college. And definitely aren't gonna be able to do it when you get to the pros. Are there some guys that do it? They get away with a little bit of stuff. Yeah, of course they get away. They get away with a little bit. But we see real quick some of those who rely just on their talent eventually find their exit when it could have lasted a little bit longer, or it should have lasted a little bit longer. But because you may not have had some people in your camp willing to tell you no, or tell you no, that ain't right. I think you you need to listen because you think you know it all. How you think you know something you haven't even been through it? Tell me how. Tell me. Answer that question out there, chat. Y'all answer that question out there for me. How do you think you know more than me, young athlete, and you haven't even been there yet? I don't care because name, image, and likeness is new. It ain't new. It's just legal. There were a lot of people getting some name, image, and likeness opportunities back in my day. It just wasn't legal. And people kept it on the hush hush. So it ain't new. The only thing new about name, image, and likeness is that we're allowed to do it now. And so we got to learn how to get the best opportunities for ourselves now that we know it's legal. It's not against the NCAA rules anymore. That's the only thing that's new. Because now it's equal footing, equal grounding for a lot of schools. That's what's new about it. That's about it. It's legal. But you better be rest assured it was happening. Right? So young athlete out there, you answer the question. You think some of y'all think you know it all, you know, and that's only because not and I don't really fault you all for thinking some of that. I have to blame some of the adults. I have to blame some of the coaches that don't do a good job of holding their athletes accountable, teaching them, right? Some kids come through the little league program and they're the star, and they get everything, and coaches are not always fair. They show favoritism. That's not good. No, sir. I've never been a part of coaching, even little league when my boys played, where there was favoritism going on, right? And I made sure I vetted and saw what team I wanted my son to play on and who I wanted to coach with. And I didn't go out there thinking I knew everything, because there were some other people out there that played ball. They didn't go as far as I did, but I respected who they were as coaches, putting their time in coaching and helping kids. I went out there to assist, right? I didn't go out there to flex and tell us, coach, oh no, you don't know what you're talking about, because I played high school, college, and pro ball, and some of them didn't. That ain't right. That ain't respectful. But I did make sure I made a point to see, okay, there's some teams I don't really want my kid playing for, right? Because I don't like what's going on. When I found them, okay, that's who my son playing for. And then sometimes I would pull a coach to the side, just one on one, and have a conversation. Not out in the open trying to, you know, you know, put myself out front. No, I used to let them coaches and young guys know, I'm like, hey, I'm young too. I'm out here. I'm just here to help you, man. You know, um, And whenever we had a chance, and they found out that, yeah, coach, you didn't tell me you play ball. Oh yeah, man, yeah, I play ball, play a little bit, um, and so I'm just out here to help you, you know, help my kids and bringing some kids. When I found some coaches that I knew that were good guys, man, and really wanting to help teach these kids the game, the sport. Man, I'll be bringing kids, my kids' friends, and other kids from church that want to play. Like, oh yeah, this who you go play with right here. This who team you need to get on, right? Stuff like that. So, um, to me, that's much more important. So, parents, that's why I say I can't necessarily fault a kid that may feel like they think they know something that they don't know. Because it's the fault of us adults not reeling them in and keeping them humble, right? Showing favoritism when we shouldn't be showing favoritism. I don't care, because my son might have been one of the best athletes on the team. Show him no favoritism. No, he gonna earn it. No, I know he's good. He knows he's good because I tell him. But I tell him the only reason why you're gonna get better is you're gonna have to put some work in, and to stay good, you're gonna have to keep putting the work in because people gonna catch up, right? And if you don't want people to catch up too soon to you, and you want to keep that advantage, you better keep working hard, and you better have some character to go along with it, you know. And I thank God for raising my boys that way. They're good young men. And they know Daddy tell them that all the time. Love them. Raising good families and all that stuff. Proud of them. Can't be any more proud of them than I am. You know. And there's a lot of young men that are not my biological sons, but they know they my sons, and they're doing well. And I'm thankful that they came across my path, and I had a chance to speak into their lives and be an example before them. Because if something were to happen to me and I wasn't around, I would want somebody to do the same for my kids if I wasn't around. Right. So you have to be careful, young athlete. You don't know what you don't know. And so that's why it's important to have and do your vetting for some of these programs out there that are helping kids with their recruiting. So just because you think you got all these offers, this and that, it's still, you know, I remember my son when he didn't have some offers and then some offers start coming in, man, his head was spinning. You know, one minute he's like wondering if I'm gonna ever get any opportunities, and man, when some offers start coming in, opportunities start coming in, same thing with the draft. Went through the draft, said he might, he had a late round draft pick evaluation on him. He got to visit several teams, about 4 or 5 teams that flew him out to visit pre-draft to do visits. Um, and draft happened, nothing happened. So he's kind of like, man, Dad, got some calls, but nothing happened. But as the draft was winding down, your phone started blowing up because now they know the draft is about to end, and you may or may not get drafted. So some teams are starting to call your agent and call you and blowing up your phone because they know, hey man, if you don't, we're done with our draft picks, and I know the draft is still going, and if you don't get picked up, man, we'd love to have you out here, blah blah blah, and so so now you get to pick and choose where you want to go as a pro athlete. And you look at the blessing of now you're going on getting ready to start his 6th season in the NFL when the average life of an NFL football player is 3.6. Man, you about to more than double that right now. That's a blessing, man. You can't, take no credit for that. Only credit you take, hey, is just being obedient, being humble, continue to keeping that ethic, and trusting God that He'll continue to open up doors. So many young men and young ladies in their sport have had that blessing come through, right? Because of that. And so that's important, right? And so there's a lot of moving parts today, right? Especially in the business of sports, recruiting for young athletes, a lot of moving parts. So you need to prepare yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally to compete at a high level consistently, to be considered one of the best in your gift and talent or sport or sports, right? A lot of moving parts, young people, parents. You don't know what you don't know. There's a lot of money flying flying around or potentially may come your way, once you're a young person gets in college and hopefully they do well and succeed, and or maybe they're the program where everybody's eating, everybody's getting some name, image, and likeness opportunities, which I think is great. because like we said, everybody's not going pro. You're gonna go pro in something. May not be in your sport. You may be working for the uh, sports affiliate, Fox Sports, ESPN Sports, or somebody possibly. If you love being around sports, you may go in sports medicine or being a trainer or whatever the case, or a totally different field, being an attorney. But hey, because people know you played sports in college and you graduated with a degree while playing sports, people know that's tough. It's tough to graduate and you're not playing a sport. So if you're playing a sport and you graduate, that's even a lot harder, and people know that. So a lot of people will hire you so quick in whatever it is you want to go into, engineering, law, right? Um, Pharmacy, business, right? I know I put on my resume that I played college sports and pro sports. And as times I got interviewed and sitting in an interview and conversation is talking about, man, so you played college sports and you played some pro football. Oh, wow, that's cool. That's neat, blah, blah. You know, and you got some work experience working in the bank, did some marketing, did some management stuff in the bank on the banking side, right? I was a teller, did all that kind of stuff. Worked at during college and right out of college, worked at Home Shopping Network and did things like that, taking opportunities, a lot of different things I did, and you open up doors for yourself. That's why I said your talents, man, can take you places, but your character will keep you. So learn, right, the truth and facts, right, for today's athletes, man. Learn it. I got to go to Japan, like I shared. Got to go to Japan. Would have never thought about going to Japan ever in my life. But because of football, because I worked my tail off to get myself an opportunity. And when I got my tryout, I showed up and I showed out when it was some other NFL talent that was already in the league that I had to go up against. But when my opportunity came up, because of the hard work I put in, because of the character that I had, to be sure that I stayed consistent and was ready when that opportunity came, right? And so when that opportunity came, I knew what time. Man, I loved it. And so I got to go to Japan. Man, that was awesome. So it's taking me places, and it's going to take you young people some places, and maybe even take your family some places. I got to go to Ireland when my son was playing at Boston College and playing Georgia Tech. Got to go because of that passport I got when I was with the Oilers that I continue to keep. When it was time to go to Ireland to see my son play, I had my passport all ready to go. No big deal. So that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. And so you need to look at getting with someone like Love the Game 24/7 and Coach Smith. For those of you who are listening live or you listen to this recording later, get with the program, right? Whether your recruiting is taking off, you need some help to try to help make that decision on what's the best place for you. And sometimes you need to talk to somebody else outside of your core group, right? That's why I always had some people outside of my core group that my sons, could talk to. So parents, you got to do that sometimes, right? So I hope this was a great conversation today on Love the Game 24/7 podcast with Coach Smith. Glad to be back. Um, as I told Jesse, thanks him for joining me. I'm gonna be reaching out to him to get him scheduled so you need to hear his story. He has a great story. I want you to hear some other folks' stories. Um, I'm working on getting my buddy Pat Terrell out here too. Um, get him on here. So Pat, if you're listening, I'm calling you out. I texted you the other day. So be sure you follow up with me. I'm gonna call you this weekend as well. But I appreciate you guys joining me. I hope you enjoyed this time. Um, I definitely appreciate everybody being here. So just remember some things. Right? There's some things you need to know now that you gotta know about this recruiting game, right? Gotta know, right? Everybody needs to know. And so I just want to let you guys know I appreciate you. Have a great weekend. Until next time, right? Be safe. Take care of yourself. Happy later Juneteenth. I hope you guys had a wonderful Juneteenth. Um, but yes, have a good weekend and be safe. Enjoy this weather. Love you guys. Be sure to subscribe, follow, all those great things. I'll be putting out the shorts here shortly on TikTok and IG and all that good stuff. Guys, hit me up, get that information out there, trying to help you young athletes and parents. All right. So thank you, and have a good weekend, guys.